Hello and welcome to the Ladies Best Life podcast. Today we have a special guest with us, Vikki Nash, and Vikki is a client in the coaching club, was a client of mine before that as well as a personal training client, and is a absolute fucking legend. So Vikki, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
How are you feeling about this?
I have no idea what I'm doing, but it's all good fun.
Everyone who comes,
we're just chatting. We're not recording, are we? Obviously.
Not recording. I'm not going to ask you deep questions.
You're such a liar. I know you well enough. It's all good.
And we've said nothing's off limits, so we're all good to go. So we start this podcast by talking about you. So I want to know, who are you? What do you do? Let's stay in the present moment for now.
So you can call me Vikki. Just
okay.
So you know.
Not Victoria.
It's a bit formal. I feel I'm in trouble. I am Vikki. I am 41. Live in France. So obviously knew you from over here in training. But yeah, live in France now with my husband and 4-year-old, running a wedding and events business. And yeah, got back in touch because of obviously coaching club and a turnaround in my life that was needed.
So let's go back. So pre-moving to France, when did you move there?
So moved over in 2017, so 6 years.
And what were you doing before that? What was life like?
So we, pre that, I'd been in retail. My husband was a teacher, but we'd up sticks and left our jobs in 2012 to do a country pub and restaurant. So working for ourselves and kind of almost idyllic life. I mean, hard life, but idyllic life, you know, working for ourselves. With pub and restaurant and bed and breakfast. So we've been doing that for 5 years, 6 years. And then the opportunity came up to do France and was like, how do we say no to that? So I moved to France. And yeah, like I said, really now idyllic lifestyle. Yeah. So lifestyle, yeah, happy. We'd left the rat run of our jobs of, or mine particularly, the hours I was doing and crazy, that world. So I was out of that and working for ourselves. So we'd already made some steps and progress for a bit of a better work-life balance. But yes, still there was lots of potential.
It's just, that's really interesting. Then you mentioned the words work-life balance. How do you think Vikki Nash in pre-2012, when she was in the retail job, how do you think she'd have got on in coaching club?
She wouldn't have had time for it. I mean, I loved my life and I enjoyed, especially that sounds really bad, doesn't it? Hopefully Steve will never listen to this. It's all fine. Pre-life. But I mean, I enjoyed like everyone does when you're younger, you're thriving on, you're traveling, you're in hotels everywhere, you're working all over the place, you're progressing. So I enjoyed that side of things. I was then, department store, luxury fashion, all of that. Lovely, great, good discount, spent a lot of money. But yeah, wouldn't have had time to stop and actually ever think about, I never gave myself that time. If I think like there's the practicality of coaching club and sort of, you're going to invest time, but I was just on such a treadmill. I wouldn't have had the time not to do the work, but to think about, that as well, but to stop and realize there was anything not right. And like I said, I think at a certain point, perhaps when you're younger, you can thrive off that and there are positives. I mean, I think back on it quite fondly. I wasn't really miserable and in a hole. If I'd carried on doing that to that level, I don't think that's sustainable. But yeah, if you'd said about coaching club then, it would have been hard to probably even fathom that there was that world out there, just a different world. Can't relate the two at all.
Really?
I was sort of happy and, in inverted commas, but I knew that it wasn't sustainable. Yeah. The hours and days and working away. And again, to have any work-life balance and time with my husband or partner, husband, as he was then. It was crazy. Crazy, yes.
And was there a need for coaching club because obviously you joined CC based upon weight, wasn't it? It was like you wanted
mainly
to see physical change. Was there a need for that when you were in retail?
Less so, but having said that, I had from almost as long as I can remember, so almost all the time I was in retail, was still in the background doing the Weight Watchers, doing to compare, I was probably only maybe a stone over where I wanted to be, so it wasn't, horrendous. But obviously equally wasn't happy. So there was something there. I think first I remember doing Weight Watchers and it was probably around 2004-05. So yes, it probably was post-uni, year or two into, the retail world. I know I definitely drank a lot more alcohol. I did definitely do the sort of coping of evenings of the wine, open the wine and so on. Or train journey home from work. I'll do some work with a, Marks and Spencer's mini bottle of wine or whatever.
I love those.
It's got to be done.
Yeah.
And so strange now in France because you just don't eat and drink on trains. So anyway, different world. But yes, so from that point of view, yeah, I obviously wasn't 100% happy. I don't remember being seriously unhappy about weight, but it was obviously there. But yes, as time went on, and probably towards the end, and I think some of it is comfort in relationship, because I've been with my partner then for a year, a few years living together, and towards the end of retail, I'd say the weight was creeping up a little bit more. But definitely then when I left and was pub and working at home, and not doing the same amounts of long hours, steps, days, running up and down staircases and escalators all day, which I was in retail, that sort of the activity dropped and the time increased. So yeah, then it probably snowballed from there, probably.
Okay, and so you finished the retail business, when did you get to the point where you were like, fuck, I need to do something with my weight? Like, and why do you think that weight came on? Obviously, you've mentioned that your NEAT would have gone down. You're in a pub, so maybe more like
a little bit more food and weight accessible.
Yeah.
And actually, I don't think I've ever told you this actually, but in 2014, I want to say, I did go and do a boot camp at Fit Farms.
Did you?
Yeah, I don't think I've ever told you that. I've done it twice as well. Never told you that. So obviously that was probably 2 years into the pub world. And again, I know what weight roughly I was around then. So then it probably gone up another stone or so. So I was probably 2.5 stone over where I sort of felt I wanted to be. And I did, I think it was a week or 5 days. It was a decent one of those sort of, Fit Farm boot camps. They're still going.
I see them all the time.
Yeah, so did it. There were some positives in there, but obviously a lot now of things I would say not so. And it did have the desired result on that week. A weight did come down, but as always, it wasn't anything about the long term and sustainable. So it served a very, very short term purpose. So yeah, it had obviously increased quite a bit by that point. I think I did it again about a year later, a shorter, like a 3-4 day weekend one. And alongside that was doing Slimming World, and I've always been quite, the sports side I don't mind. I was always doing an element of that, running or, spin classes, hence knowing you.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so I was doing sort of some of that, but it was probably always with a view that, oh, this will undo and counter a little bit of the poor nutrition and so on. So weight was just creepy. Basically, definitely was creeping up slowly, going to the pub, and then sort of snowballed a bit over those next years. So over those 5 years, suddenly at the end of it, I was suddenly probably 3, 4, 5 stone at peak at the actual when I started 5 stone over where I wanted to be. So yeah, big changes. Amazing how it just creeps on.
It is, and that's the thing, we don't really recognize in the moment the compound effect. We don't realize that that little bit of less movement, that little bit more food, those more kind of like comfort things creeping in, they accumulate. And it's crazy, isn't it? Because like we always talk in the coaching club about the 1%.
Yeah,
you can go 1% better or 1% worse. You will rarely notice it before it's kind of like, fuck, we're now like 10-15% off track. 100%. It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so you've done boot camps, we've done the Slimming World, you joined coaching club in January 2021. 22. Yeah. 22. Oh my God.
Nearly in 24. Yeah.
God, it's mad to think like we are so close to 2024.
Yeah.
Fucking hell, that's crazy. What did you think you were joining?
No idea. I told you this. Absolutely no idea. I think it was just like, this is just something I haven't tried, and I feel I've tried everything else. I did have a bit of connection. I knew you.
Yeah.
A bit from before. And I think I probably, if you'd actually put a gun to my head and asked me to explain what it is, I think I would have said, I assume it's a training program, a weight loss, a bit of a diet plan and a training program with a bit more accountability. And, it's an investment. And so I will obviously give it everything I can, and it's something new. But yeah, I didn't really have a clue and probably had less of a clue once I actually started and was like, what the hell is all this?
And how do you explain it now?
Okay. Well, definitely the biggest difference is the holistic approach and looking at all areas and looking at the root causes of things, not just the sticking plaster.
Yes.
So yeah, that would be kind of probably the overview, and delivering those results in the end as well, but just in a more sustainable and long-term view, not just the kind of, the practical, how do we sort it short term?
Yes, I love that. And I love how, so if we look at your original description, so training plan, nutrition plan, a bit of extra accountability, you then go add into that, but it's root cause, it's sustainable, it's a holistic approach.
Yeah.
Fucking boom.
And so much more to life as well, because it's just, again, yes, mine was definitely 90%, no, in fact not 90%, but I came for the physical, and actually my journey's still been probably 70% the physical, but I've then got an extra added value, 30% that I wasn't expecting, of actually how you're dealing with different situations in life, and you know how you feel with your relationship with yourself, and others around you. About why are you laughing?
Because I know, I like remember on our initial call, and you were just like, I've seen you talking about some of this woo stuff about like loving yourself and stuff, and like I don't know, this hippie stuff. I'm not going to be talking about that, and don't ever don't think that you can get me to do it. There was one line in particular,
living your best life. Yeah, I was like, don't go. Like, I'm not going to be like living my best life.
You said it. You said it on your hot seat.
But I mean, I said to you, who on earth, when you actually go, doesn't want to live their best life? You'll live your life in the best way possible. I mean, it's the most obvious. Like, I don't think anyone can say, well, no, I don't want that.
No, yeah, what if I don't want to live my best life?
You know, I want to live my life really poorly. I want to be really miserable and unhealthy. And it's like, so obviously it makes perfect sense, but I just like those little cliche phrases still little
cheesy,
still even niggle me a little bit, but it's like, it's just common sense.
Laura always says like she can't stand it when we say like to be your authentic self. She's just like, just be your fucking self. Like, and it is so funny because like obviously we are so passionate about what we do that we can add in that extra cheese, and it's just, but yes, I wasn't laughing about what you were saying, it just was taking you back to you know, pre-CC when we had that call, because obviously like we were personal training for, was it like 6 months or something?
I don't know, it wasn't that long. Obviously knew a little bit from classes, but no more than any other, you know, person in the class. Then I did a little bit of personal training. I think I was doing a half at the time.
Yes, you were.
So yeah, probably did a few months, probably no more than a few months, I don't think so. And it was great for what it was, like hour on, you know, but it was, you know, it was just a different approach. It wasn't particularly, and even that was the fitness thing. It wasn't obviously anything to do with the body and weight loss particularly. So. Yeah,
you can't. I was speaking to someone about it yesterday, how like, they were like, do you miss being a PT? And I was like, categorically no. I loved it when I was there, and I really did like the connection that you can make with people, and like I'm very anal when it comes to movement, and I love like assessing people's movement. So that side of it I do miss to a degree, and that's why I make sure we do it in coaching club. Like people send me their workout videos and stuff. But if you think about it, like you can see them for that 1 hour a day. You know, people who had lots of money could come and see me 5 times a week, and they did. But what about the other 23 hours of those days? And that's something when we started coaching club in COVID, and I was like, right, what do I actually want to do? So rather than being a PT and working with anyone, like how do I want to help people? And it was taking it that step further. So the accountability for those other 23 hours, because people like you loved training. You know, you actually enjoyed coming to my crazy spin classes. You enjoyed going out running.
So miss them still.
We're going to start them somewhere. We're going to make it like maybe a virtual thing somewhere. But so a lot of the people that I trained didn't have a problem with the exercise. Sometimes it was managing it in regards to fitting it into the diary, but it was more, you know, the sleep was shit, or the boundaries are shit, or the overworking. You know, so helping people with those things was much more important. And then with me, with my interest and kind of background being in psychology, it's like, right, what is the real reason? Like you mentioned, the root cause, why people, they know what to do. Like we're launching at the minute the 555. So how to lose 5 pounds in 5 weeks in 5 simple steps. It's literally plan, get your food shopping, structure it into MyFitnessPal, neat up and sleep up, and then do your progress pictures. 5 steps.
Yeah.
Fucking simple, right?
Yeah.
Why don't people do it?
Well, the whole world would be fit and healthy and perfect. There's no perfect.
You
know what I mean? Everyone would be healthy and eating well, and you know, and no one would be smoking, no one would be drinking. Life would be great. But you know, we all know it. There's so many other factors at play. Yeah.
And that's what we do.
Yeah.
That's where we go into. And it's where like you can actually start to live your best life, because those things that we maybe aren't even aware of, so the things that hold us back, whether it be relationships with certain people, or the inability to manage our time effectively, or expectations is a big one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's something that I think will never stop.
Yeah.
And I was speaking to someone at an event I was at yesterday who is a graduate of the coaching club. She was like, fucking hell, I miss it.
Oh.
I was like, what do you miss? And she was like, just having people there for when I need that extra accountability, or when I want to do something a bit crazy and I want other people to be like, well, why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah.
You know, and having those people in your corner, like your
that
tribe.
environment. The environment's key.
So powerful. So what would you say are the so physical, let's start there because that's going to be probably easier.
Okay.
What are your top 3 wins? What are you most proud of physically?
Well, very, very simple and top line, but lost 5 stone.
Mm-hmm.
So, and lost it easily and in inverted commas. Of course, there's work. There's no magic wand for anyone looking for it, but it was the easiest. I felt I'd restricted less, and all the way through would ask myself, is this sustainable? And actually, at any point, pretty much, I would go, this is sustainable. I could actually carry on doing this if I needed to. So achieving what I didn't even, as we said before, I couldn't give you a number because I couldn't imagine. I thought you would laugh, and I didn't even have a number anyway. It was like, I just know I need to lose a decent amount. So yeah, losing 5 stone in whatever 6-7 months, whatever it was, and yeah, a year and a half on, actually it's sustainable, and I genuinely feel that my life can now be like this, and there'll be little ups and downs, of course, and it's life, and I'll manage those, but it wasn't a few that's done and then it's all going to go back on again. So that, the physical weight loss, but yes, so much more the health. I'm really enjoying the health and the optimization and leading a better, healthier life. I will still be the first to say I'm not going to be that dream, perfect, clean living, absolute tick every box. I know I'm not perfect. No one's perfect, but I've found that balance, and I'm also enjoying constantly in just those little 1%, but little increase. Discovering new food that's like really good for me, but I've never tried it before, and actually go, I like this, and silly things like that. But you go and you're increasing that variety and so on. So the health and being probably mentally in a better place for my daughter, and I hope for those around me, possibly. Being more self-aware, I think, probably is then, as a result, has then benefited, and I think more about how I question myself more, and I'm more, I think I know myself a bit better.
Absolutely.
So those are probably the 3 things: physical, the sort of health and optimization side, and self-awareness, probably.
It's amazing, and self-awareness has to come first. This is of the coaching club success system. Step 1, the first phase, is called aware, because if you're unaware, you can't change it. It's like, if you don't know there's a car coming, you're going to cross the road. And it's exactly the same with your journey. Like, if you are unaware of these little habits that are creeping in, like having 3 biscuits with a cup of tea, that's habit. You don't have to consciously think. So it's about going, okay, awareness around this. Now I understand. I can maybe have 2 biscuits instead of 3. And that has to come first. And your journey, I love how you say it's been easy, because it has been so inspirational to watch and to be a part of, because you came in, like you say, you did have fear. You also had a bit of like resistance against a couple of things, like the woo hippie shit. And obviously you were fearful. Like, you tried so many things before, and inverted commas failed, but I believe they failed you, not you failed them. And for you to, like, 6-7 months to lose 5 stone without even being able to fucking voice it, that is huge. And to say it's been with ease is a testament to you going, can I do this long term? Is what I'm doing a quick fix, or can I actually see my life merging in this way? Because that is the key. Because if it's
got to work. And I think I said, without getting too detailed, but the biggest thing for me, I could do all my rules and, like, week in, week out, and maintain or lose or whatever I needed to do. What I never had ever even really attempted, because it was just in my head not achievable, was to do any trips away, which sounds silly. But again, it's life, and there's no point kind of not working around it sort of, the 46 weeks of the year when you're not doing something, and then the other sort of 4 to 6 weeks when you're away, or trips or holidays or out of routine, it goes out the window, because that's enough if it really goes out the window to undo the rest of it. It is, if you really go to the extremes, which I used to do, and you add in the weekends, which also of the other 46 weeks, which don't follow those rules. And, before you know it, you've actually only followed any great rules for one.
It's literally like a step forwards, a step back, a step forwards,
100%.
And it's all or nothing.
And that sort of control to now feel, actually, I go away in such a different way with a different mindset, have a bit of a plan. And I think some things go well, some things don't, but it's like, it doesn't go to any extremes. And to be able to manage that, and again, don't get me to now get emotional, because this is where it'll tip me. That's probably actually in reality been the biggest change, because by then managing those times, even if you just sustain or you even put on a little bit, but it's not extremes, that way is actually, that's how I manage life and make it work for me. It works for me. So
why do you think that would make you emotional, talking about that?
See, don't push it. Because I get emotional when I've achieved something, because she's really trying.
can make her cry.
She can do it. Turn the screw.
I will cry with you. I've got really sore eyes
good.
today,
Love
but
it. Let's both just with no tissues provided.
sleep.
I realise what gets me emotional is when I've achieved something, especially if I thought it wasn't. And a few things like I get emotional still. You watch London Marathon every year, a big achievement for me. And so I will watch that and get emotional. I love it. It's good emotion. It's like, it's pride.
Yes. Yeah.
And so that is probably why I get emotional, because I'm proud of having turned that was actually really damaging my life and my health and everything else. And that was sort of the weak spot. And I'm proud that I've turned around. So it's achievement and pride, I think.
I
So
love
it's positive
that.
emotional.
Yeah. And even like, emotions are not bad. Like so many people like, oh my God, sorry, I'm crying. I'm like, fucking cry.
Yeah.
I don't want you to cry unless you like are happy to, but it's so good. And my favorite saying, if you like, is tears are shaped like seeds for a reason, because they help us to grow. Yeah. And it's interesting when we can start to recognize our achievements, because I think maybe retail Vikki didn't give herself the time or the space to reflect and realize how fucking good she was doing. It was very much like you said, treadmill. You're on that hedonic treadmill of life. It's like go, 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 go. And I know I've definitely gone through periods like this where I'm like, go, go, go. I fucking built this absolutely incredible business and helped so many people. And then like rarely stop to slow down to appreciate it. So the fact that you're doing that now, because we had this recently as well, didn't we, when we talked about, so you have maintained your weight for a year. Yes, okay, there's been a couple of fluctuations, which is normal life. You're gonna go on holiday and you won't hit the fuck it button like you did before. I've spoken to so many people who they've been on holiday, they've gained in like a 2-week holiday like 1.5 stone. And it's like, okay, no judgment, but what the fuck are you escaping from?
Yeah.
What is it that you're so not happy with in your current life that you are just going away and comfort eating to that level?
And that's, you think you're treating yourself and you're doing the absolute opposite. So,
but the thing is, like, I don't think you can blame people, because we're not taught to cope with our emotions. We're not taught to go, right, okay, so like I've done, like, so was it last week? Yeah, last week my ADHD was through the roof and I was just constantly like like crazy brain. Comfort eating, like nailed, what was it? I had a cream egg ice cream and I was like, what the fuck? I'm not even hormonal. What is this? But that was an old comfort eating coping mechanism coming back through. So I can recognize it, and I think that's how I can be in good stead to help people with it, because I've fucking been there. But actually to allow yourself to go, right, this is something that I've struggled with for years. And now I'm going to put in, so for yourself, like to achieve your goal was 7 months, say max, wasn't it? 7 months of your life, whilst in a way that you can sustain it long term, to break free from these things. And obviously we spoke on your hot seat about, I prepared you for the maintenance of your goal. So for anyone who's listening, so Vikki was on like an absolute mission, I suppose, to lose the weight. I was like, this is great, but we need to prepare you for when you hit your goal, that maintenance. So you go through a process. So you get to your goal weight, you then go through a process. It's called reverse dieting. So that is lifting your calories up to a sustainable amount long term, because you can't stay on the 1400, the lower end of calories for the rest of your life. It just can't happen. So we have to bring you back up, then teach you how to maintain. And I prepared Vikki for this, and I was like, it's going to be pretty tricky because we're not aiming for that number. We don't have this kind of vision of where we're going. We're just staying here. And you fucking nailed it.
Yeah, well, I think I'm just competitive. So when you've like built it up so much to be, it's going to be really challenging. You just need to know that this will probably be harder than what you're doing at the moment. And the more you set me up like that, I'm like, I'm going to prove you wrong. So it just, and I think I psych myself out. I like to be prepared for things. So I'd really prepared myself that it was going to be so tight. So then actually I was like, no, I was just loving, enjoying like nice wardrobe and new clothes and feeling great in everything. And like the August, you're saying about what you can do in a month, the August pre-CC, I think I'd put on, because I was a serial weigher. And still have some merits in that, but yeah, would weigh daily. So I knew my kind of pattern. It sounds really obsessive, but I knew my normal fluctuations and so on. And in 1 month, I put on, I think, 8 kilos, because I decided I'd have August off. This was one of my pre-rules.
Wow.
So I'd like sort of had a more disciplined sort of month or two. August, I was holiday month, living in France, sunshine. I wouldn't follow anything, so didn't worry, still weighed. and I'd put on 8 kilos in 1 month. That wasn't even going away. That was just at home and was actually working and busy. And then the following, I'd sort of got to kind of where I wanted to be around the August time in 2022.
Yep.
And did August and pretty much maintained. And like, I think I was the same at the end as I had been at the start. And that was just like mind blowing. But yeah, I was like, I need to prove you wrong.
Love it.
And then in turn I've said it's harder actually as it sort of the focus has come off that. When the focus comes off, that's when it's sort of, you know, you've got to be more aware of it and more careful. So yeah, I just like to prove you wrong.
Which I love. Which was the was it this August or last August when you were like, right, Sash, August is my busiest month. I just need to survive. And I was like, fuck that. We're going to thrive.
Yeah, last year. That was last year. And it was like, yeah, we're going to thrive, not survive. Yeah.
And it's not about like thriving compared to your quietest month. So when you don't have so many weddings on, it's about what does thriving look like in August and how can we make it? Yeah. And managing expectations. I just wanted to get that in, but coming back to where we're at now, because obviously you did the hot seat inside Coaching Club, which is you speaking to the incredible rest of the tribe about your journey, where you're at. And it's a celebration, but it's a celebration with no judgment or expectation. And obviously off the back of that live, you're happy to go there?
Yeah. Yeah, go.
Off the back of that live, like maintenance is found, like you found it a bit harder, right?
Yes, later on, yeah. So like I said, yeah, initial maintenance, I mean, to be fair, for like 8-10 months, so sort of decent period, was okay. And then a few things as they do, like a few trips where it was all a little creep, but lots of sort of, you know, because it was lots one after another, just the way it was working, crept up a little bit. So yeah, but again, then had a bit of a wobble as you do, and kind of, but this is just, again, at the end of it, you kind of take the view, it's another puzzle, it's another challenge, it's another thing, which actually I like by the end, I'm excited about. It's like another thing to deal with and work out and figure out how I deal with this, because this is going to happen another however many times in my life probably. It's just reality. So but having the tools to sort of feel I can actually deal with that and it doesn't need to throw me off. And I still, feel really positive. I mean, I've just done, like I said, a half marathon last week and I'm feeling fit and healthy. I'm away at the moment on a trip and, you know, halfway through feeling great. I haven't overindulged. I've equally been out for nice meals and had a great time. So it's just, different way of dealing with it again, and new plans and new, So.
It's so important, because we obviously had that call where you were a bit like, oh my God, like I'm panicking, like summer was super busy as it always is, you know, holidays back to back and time away. You're gonna feel different because you're not in routine. And this is one of the main kind of, I suppose, like focuses that I have that isn't communicated maybe enough inside Coaching Club, is I want you all to be, is the word versatile? So be able to be on holiday and be okay with it, be able to have your plans that you probably spent ages planning turned on their head and be okay with it. Because so many people in society are like, when everything goes to plan, I'm fine. A lot of the time people don't plan, but if you are a planner, you plan, and if it goes to plan, you're fine. But the moment it's out of plan, you're like, oh my fucking God, it's so hard to do it. So teaching that is a skill. Like you said, it's a tool, part of the kind of like toolbox. And we obviously had that call, and you were like, I think it sounded like there was a bit of scarcity around, fuck, was this too good to be true?
A little bit of self-doubt of, am I just going to be one of those other stats that lose it, but, you know, a year, 2 years later, put it all back on again type thing. So, it's a bit of self-belief of, you know, is this really real? And can I really still keep going and maintain it? So, and different factors, because I was training and was, you know, doing some different work and blah, blah. And I was like, can I do everything? Can I juggle? Can I also lose the weight? Is this possible? And it's just, stepping back and going, actually, right, just break it down. And what's the plan? And there's always a solution. So
always a solution. And the thing is, like, what I've loved about your journey is you're so coachable. You're so willing to put your hand up, to ask for help, and to be like, I don't have a fucking clue. Like, or I have a clue. Like, what do you think to this? And every single time, like, you've had the answers. But the thing that I love about coaching is I'm your thinking partner. My knowledge is kind of not really void in the coaching realm. I'm just here to ask you great questions, which triggers the life at you, to get you to think about what is right for you. And your mind holds the answer, and I've just got to find a way to pull it out. And I love that. And I love that's what, like, obviously in that call that we had, it was very much around that. Like, you had the answers.
I think I'd even worked it out. And I was like, this is what I think you're going to tell me.
Literally the easiest client ever. Like, I've worked it out, but I just need you to let me know that it's right. And I'm like, Fucking hell, let's go. But it's so good because one thing that I found hard with personal training is people were often dependent on me. They were dependent, like if I was off sick, they wouldn't go to the gym.
Yeah.
Let alone like, fucking not even talk about nutrition and sleep and all the other really important factors. Whereas coaching club, like we want you to use accountability to get you to where you want to get to, but then teach you how to be self-accountable.
100%. Yeah.
Teach you how to have that kind of like personal agency, because we don't want you to need us. We want you to stay in community and grow with us if that's what you want, not because you need us.
Yeah.
It's two very different things. And you see a lot of coaches having codependent clients, and it's not fucking good.
Was another element of sustainable. It's not just diet sustainable. It's about the whole process that actually is it sustainable long term on my own, because the nicest way, I'd love to be here forever. But actually, in 30 years time, you might have better things to do with your life. But you want to be able to sort of solve things yourself. Like I said, that's just healthy and practical and more use to me.
And it's so like when you build that inner resourcefulness, and this is what I think maybe the recognition that you've had for yourself recently, because it feels like it's been quite a busy period for you. I am shivering, by the way. Can you hear it in my voice?
No, my hands are like it's fine.
I was like talking then, I was like, fucking hell, I am shivering. It sounds like you've been able to recognize, even though it's been busy, but it seems like you've reflected quite a lot on how good you've done to get to where you are now, and you're proving to yourself that all of these puzzles you are able to resolve. And even if they are, for example, there's a tiny bit of weight fluctuation at the minute, perfectly normal, to be expected, you categorically know, hands down, you can get rid of that.
Yeah, 100%. I know the tool. I know how to do it. I know I've done it before. I know I can do it again. And it's not huge amounts anyway. And also I know where it's come from. So I know kind of, what hopefully I can, again, back to the root cause, what I can avoid happening again in the future. So, there's 2 or 3 things learned from it. It's not even just, So it doesn't actually really stress me out. I'm not worried. Like I said, I'm still really proud of what I've achieved. But I equally am now not hard on myself, but I've got higher expectations.
Yes.
Not unrealistic expectations. Yeah. Expectations have been,
expectations we're talking about in a second.
But as in, I know my standards, and it's like, actually, if I've let my standards drop, okay, first of all, why? And then that's fine, sort it. What can I do? Move on. So
the thing is, right, you know how some people are like, right, I don't know, 10.5 stone. That's my set point weight. And then they're like, I know my standards. They are my standards. We can't operate in absolutes. We cannot do it. Again, expectations. We're going to talk about that in a second. So many people have this really unfair expectation on their body to be, you've got to be 65 kilograms. If you're not 65 kilograms, you're failing. Periods, hormones, travel, alcohol, slightly different foods, illness, stress, lack of sleep are all reasons why we could increase weight.
Yeah.
And yet so many women in society are like, I have to get to this number and I have to keep this number. It's not realistic, and it's not part of it. Like, you want to get to that number and keep that number because it's an element of control. But actually, I believe the true work comes in these bouncy parts that we're in right now. I've had it recently since coming back from Bali. Health has been all over the place. Now finally getting a grasp of it. I did feel my weight throughout probably end of September went up a bit, and I didn't feel as comfortable in my clothes, but fucking welcome to being a human.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we have these crazy expectations, the same with standards. The more we can manage our own expectations around our standards, the more we can continue this lifelong.
Yeah, 100%.
And it's interesting because what is probably now your baseline, so for anyone listening, if you haven't listened to previous episodes, you need to go back. We've talked about the baseline, mediocre and optimal standards. These are the varying standards of part of what we do inside Coaching Club. Baseline, what are you going to do every single day, and kind of are your SOS. What keeps you from dropping to the bottom of the pile? Then you got your mediocre. They're your kind of like standards that you're going to live by pretty much every day. And then when, children aren't around and they're at school or whatever, and like business is a bit easier, you've got your optimal that you can tap into. But I bet for you now, your baselines are probably what were your optimal when you first joined.
Yeah, 100%. I actually found them the other day, so I had them saved on like my favourites, my photo. I've got them somewhere.
I need to see these.
yeah, 100%. So because your standards are, raising and all the time, and also I'd say my baseline does, at the start I had a set baseline, mediocre, optimal, and now I change it on depending what my situation is, but because it's my baseline for that situation, which maybe is a bit against the principle.
No,
but as
not at all.
I make that work. I said, what's realistic? If I was like, you know, if it's step count, but I'm actually going to be driving for, you know, 2 of the days I'm sitting in the car, it's obviously not going to, so I'm not expecting to obviously deliver that.
Yeah. Because it would be unfair.
But that worked really well for me. But yeah, 100%. If I look back at now, old optimal, mediocre optimal are like absolute bare minimum there for me.
And this is the thing, you know, like, so when I've been coaching recently, we've had people going, right, okay, so this week I'm going to be at my baseline. I'm like, well, imagine if you feel better by Wednesday and you can come into mediocre, or the other way around, like I'm going to be at optimal because kids are at school and I've got a week off work. Okay, but what happens if Wednesday you get poorly? So actually, like you don't have like a set of
much
baseline.
More fluid.
It's so fluid, and the more you can dance with your expectations throughout the day, like throughout every minute of every day, the better. And what you like, the question to ask yourself is, when I put my head on the pillow tonight, will I be proud of what I've done?
Yeah,
that's
100%.
It. And some days it's going to be no, and that's okay.
Change to half a day. It literally is, yeah. And
drop of a hat.
It's the tool has been really helpful, but it's so much more fluid now. Yeah, like you said. And it's just, am I proud? Am I pleased? Am I content with what I've done or not done? And I still always go on about, but I still celebrate things. So if at that end of the day I can go, okay, I've been out for a meal, but do you know what? I didn't drink tonight, or whatever it is, or I had only 3 glasses, not 4.
Yeah,
whatever.
Exactly.
You know, if actually I've made that little tiny decision, micro decision that actually I can celebrate, that's still a win, and I still come back in a different mindset. So I come back feeling in control.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah. So yeah, huge difference.
Is that a difference to how you were before? So if before you say, like when you were a bit more kind of like dieting, so pre-CC or even in the beginning of CC, were you more rigid with yourself? Like if you went out and you said you weren't going to drink but you drank, were you then less able to celebrate, or have you always had that kind of like acceptance, I suppose?
Well, a mixture of things. So pre-CC would never even really probably put those. It was all or nothing. I was very all or nothing. And we're talking very simply like the food and drink side of things. I was all or nothing. So if I was out and I wasn't going to be being good in inverted commas, then that was it completely. So there would have been I would never have gone into those with the approach of, so tonight what I'll do is I will go out and I'll drink, but I will only have one. I never did that. It was literally, I'm not eating or I'm not drinking this, or I am eating, and then it's the extreme.
Absolute.
So pre-CC that, obviously into CC, then got much more into the, okay, what's the compromise, or what could I do that's sustainable, and then so on, which is a version of still what I do now of going, actually, you know, I am going out this weekend and I'm going to drink, but could I wouldn't say I'm too rigid with the rules with that, or not now. Maybe perhaps in the beginning I was more, it's got to be all or nothing, not all or nothing, but stick to the rules, always a rule. But now I'm much more as in, I'll have for example, this last weekend of, you know, I'm in the back of my mind planning not to drink for the whole weekend, but I've got absolutely no issues with myself. If I do decide to have one or two, I know it won't be to the extreme, and I went with that and could have at any point changed my mind and done it or not done it, and didn't do it. But I wouldn't have been beating myself up if I'd had that glass of red with the steak or whatever.
Yeah, love that.
So yeah, now I'm much more content and at ease with it. Before it would have been all or nothing and extreme, and then with that comes the extreme reactions to it, the extreme guilt or the extreme, you know, feeling awful, extreme restriction, extreme binge and restrict and all of that. So much more, it's like that previous is a roller coaster, and now it's that sort of nice level, you know, it goes
just
up,
a few bumps.
Yeah, exactly. But it's nothing, that is life. So, and accepting that. So
that is so powerful. And I know a lot of the listeners will be in a position where all or nothing has been at play. And I think it's something, I don't know where it comes from in society. It's something I need to dig into a little bit more in my mind and have a look at where we get these, you know, you're either on it or you're off it.
Control.
You think it's control?
I think it's control, yeah. It's that little bit that, you know, you're not in control because obviously you're not physically maybe where you feel, you know, want to be.
Yes.
But your mind tells you you're keeping that little bit of control because you're in control, you're doing those rules and you're sticking to them.
Yeah, that's
true.
And
then you're allowing yourself to not be on the rules, and therefore you're obviously craving all this, so you just go to the extreme. Control, for me it was anyway, at least. Definitely.
I think you're right. Do you remember the day we had the call?
Yes.
Did she picture this?
Oh my god, no.
It's making me emotional asking the question.
No. Oh my god, no.
No?
I don't know what you were talking earlier on about the fear. I think the fear was how many more things are there left to try. And you know, tick Slimming World, tick, you know, Weight Watchers, tick my own things. Haven't done this, and it's like, if this doesn't work, what is the left, you know? So there was that fear. But I was not, it couldn't in a million years. I think in my head, I was probably thinking, okay, because I can normally lose 10K quite not easily, but I can do a month or two and lose 10K myself. So I'll go up and down. I need to do that maybe a bit more. I can never get past that point and it goes back on. So in my head, I was probably thinking, you know, I just need to lose sort of, well, I knew I wanted to and needed to lose more, but that wasn't realistic or sensible to expect that. So in my head, yeah, can I get sort of 10, 15K off maybe and be feeling a bit better?
And then just see.
And I don't even know, I don't have thought about what after that. Because in my head I always thought if I can get down to a weight that I'm happy with and comfortable, then I can just maintain it and it'll be easy. And that's like, that'll be the easy bit, as if, well then why hasn't that worked? Why have you got to this point? Because yeah, why would we not have all stopped at the point where we're fit and healthy and active, you know, at a good, healthy, in inverted commas, sensible weight? So yes, I hadn't really thought past that. It was a bit of desperation probably, of just like, can I lose a bit again?
Okay. And if I was to offer you money to...
Always bring it on.
Yeah, okay, right. So if I was to buy your everything that you've achieved, so not just the weight loss, if I was to take that off you, how much would you sell it to me for?
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm thinking of my bank accounts, what can I pull together? But you could, what value would I put on what I've achieved?
Well, more like so if you was to go back to where you were and give me...
What would I pay to be here
What would you sell it to me for? Yeah. So if you were going, right, okay, so Sash, I am right now, and it's going to cost you this amount of money to buy these off me for me to go back there. What would I have to pay you?
Oh, do you know what? That's to relate that to anyone. Everyone's personal finances are in a different position, aren't they? But I would have given... want to keep a little bit of safety in life, but basically you'd give what I would give almost all my disposable income for it, almost, which is like extreme. A little bit of my practical head goes, obviously you'd keep some safety net and anything else, but almost the sky's the limit. I would have given what I could have, you know, if I could get tens of thousands together, I would have handed that over to you, I think, or would hand that over to you, because this is like your life. So within reason, you can never say money's no object, because it's an object for everyone at some point. You know, we've all got restrictions. But yeah, I would have given you, or would give you. Why are you going to take it away from me? Don't take it away from me.
That's what I'm getting at. I'm like, is there a number that I could, like, if you, because it's me
giving you... doing a new pricing strategy if you're busy?
No, pricing is set.
This is the new...
Vikki said she'd pay 50 grand, so it's now 50 grand. No, it's more like, what would you allow me to pay you in order to get rid of those results? Would you give them up for an amount of money, basically?
No, there's no price you can put on it, I don't think. Because, there's so many knock-on factors to be feeling that miserable in your own skin every day of your life, the rest of your life. No. And then the knock-on of then your relationships, how you feel, how you are with other people, the role model for your children. No. How would you? No, you're not having it.
That's what I was going at. Not the other way around, but yeah,
same principle. But yeah, no, wouldn't. You can't buy that back off me. So
it's so interesting because again, at an event I was at recently, we're talking about when people come to join Coaching Club and how on that initial call sometimes people get really fucking scared because it is an investment. It's not like a 50 quid personal training session. It is a couple of grand. And when people are low in self-worth, they've failed so many times before, although I don't think you're a failure, it's diets that fail you, and they've never invested money into themselves before, going, fuck, here you go. It's
into
scary.
The unknown as well.
Into the unknown. You know, well, you can see that Vikki's done this. You can see that Sam's done this. MG's done this. You can see all these people with results, but a lot of the time people don't think that they can get it.
Yeah.
And it was fascinating when I was talking about it because it was a group of women at this event. And I was like, you know, I personally, it's hard to install the belief that I have in people into their mind.
Yeah.
What do you think, like for you, I suppose, was it, like you said, it was desperation. So it was almost like a last resort.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't speak for other people. For me, it's desperation. I mean, again, within reason, if you can afford to throw the money at it, it's like, I'll do it. Let's try it. Let's see, you know, haven't tried this. It's something new. Don't have a clue what it is, but anyway.
Yeah.
But we'll give it a go.
Hippie woo shit.
We'll give it a go as long as she doesn't make me say that line. So yeah, it was desperation. So I suppose you come to a point where at least you've got that awareness, like you're saying. There's got to be some awareness to actually go, this isn't right. I'm not happy. I'm not in a good place. But then it's like, it was desperation, really, which is sad.
It is sad. But it's okay, because we now need to have complete awe of Vikki doing what she did then. You know, feeling how she felt, to send me that message, to get on the call, to invest in herself when she was feeling so crap. Fucking kudos to her.
Yeah, it's harder, hard and easy, because on the one hand you'll give anything to try and make it work, but yeah, you're feeling, probably a lot of people aren't feeling they warrant that money, that investment, that time. So there's definitely
that's the way I always turn it around. And obviously recently we've talked about it on the group sessions. We talked a lot around like identity 2.0, and like if we go back to where we were pre-CC and look at you now, like what would she say, and like kind of even looking back at how she felt back then. And sometimes people have a bit of like shame or a bit of like embarrassment about who they were and how they kind of were operating, but you will do the best you can with the tools that you have at every given moment in time. And it's really interesting to hear that you say, like, back then, to project forwards, like, imagine if you could have seen this.
Yeah, unimaginable. Yeah,
it's fucking crazy. So what's next?
Continue with the puzzles of maintaining and making sure I'm feeling it's sorted. And I think it'll always be, I think it's probably like grieving. It's like a little, I think it's going to get, that's quite extreme, but it's probably just going to get, I feel, and it already is, it's just constantly getting a little bit duller and less of an issue and a less at the forefront of my mind, to the point where I feel I'm confident it will be just sort of not even a thing, not worth talking about. It's still at the moment very fresh and raw, and even 2 years in, that I'm still quite hyper aware of it, and when there are fluctuations, right, what am I doing about it, and deal with it. But yeah, I'm pretty confident that this is not any major fluctuation. Life is just, this will just become ingrained in me. And so now it's exciting other things. So yeah, fitness things. I've always run, but I know I can do faster, I can do better, and I thrive and enjoy that. Yes. And physique, and all of which has obviously improved over the last couple of years, but working on that, and doing health work as well, doing blood work.
Yes.
I'm quite geeky. I like the data stuff. I like the sciencey side of things. So yeah, enjoying getting stuck into some whole new worlds.
I love it. And if you think about it, so from the weight aspect alone, how long was it that you were unhappy in your skin with the weight that you were at? Obviously, it seems like for quite a while after uni, like until you joined Coaching Club, there was a few different kind of attempts, if you like. So if you look at the behaviours that you accumulated, it was over a period of how many years?
Well, if you think from when I was unhappy, the behaviours have probably started a few years before that, to be fair.
Yeah.
So it's probably not far off 20 years.
So the fact that we're almost 2 years in and we're still learning, but you think, well, still, that's not that long.
Yeah.
We're almost 2 years in compared to 20 years before of learned behaviors. And we know like the process of like myelin in the brain. So when you've got a habit, you've got neuro pathway. We use it in the Coaching Club, like hacking down a fucking jungle. You've got a path there, but you haven't trodden on it much. So it takes time to make it a clearer path. And that's where you're at now. There is absolutely no risk of you going back to where you were. The identity, the way that you see yourself, the way that you talk about yourself, you no longer call food good and bad. You no longer say that you're being good and bad and say that you deserve a treat because you're not a fucking
So
dog.
You get me emotional again because it's pride, because it is, because you're right. Sometimes you need to be told it again, but you've achieved. It's pride.
God, you're going to make me start. But this is the thing, like, just go back to how, like, we've got to go back to our conversations on WhatsApp, because how you used to speak compared to now is fucking monumental.
Yeah, just different approach to life. Yeah, different approach to life. So,
and are you living your best life?
I'm living my best life.
I got it on camera.
You can keep it. It's fine.
I'm just
gonna. Do you want to live your best life?
Can you shoot some promo for me?
Can do that for you. No worries.
I'll get the first call and be like, "This is where she was, and this is where she is now." But it's exciting.
You could be living your best life. Join today. I'll do some practice. It's fine. Go on.
Yeah, we can practice that. But no, it's incredible because you've done so freaking well. And like I said, like you've been super coachable the whole way through. And now you're able to self-coach. You're able to get yourself through these puzzles. You're being great role models to so many people around you, including Amelie, which is just that must be so... What word am I looking for? That must mean a lot.
Yeah, now I see it as a relief, and I didn't really even... I started, she was sort of baby age, so I'm so glad I've done this at the point I have, because like I said, from the sort of age she's now starting to really absorb and understand and see the world around her. She's 4 now. I'm not ashamed. I was ashamed before. I would have been ashamed of what she was seeing. And so I'm proud again. Not going to cry. But that she's seeing. She's seeing a real person and a real life. So she's not seeing perfection, but she's seeing real and nothing that I'm really ashamed of. So
that's so powerful. And the fact that it isn't perfectionism, like we are not striving for that. We are striving to be aware, to be a human, to make fucking big mistakes sometimes, to course correct, to be emotional, to be allowed to be emotional, to talk about it. That's incredible. So just take your mind back to the day you joined one more time. What would you say to her?
Let me come up with some nice cheesy lines. Hang on. Dream the unimaginable. It could be yours.
Your destiny is ahead of you.
Anything is possible. All of those things, basically, because I didn't have the belief. Yeah, you said to, I think probably more other people, but I know you've used the line forward, like if you've got even a tiny bit of belief, I've got the rest. But I wouldn't have had the belief, hence why I couldn't give you that number, because I didn't think in any way I could, do that level. I thought I can just get a bit better. I'm sure I can do that. That was the expectations I had of myself, or not expectations, belief that I could do. That's all I thought I could do. So it would be have the self-belief, and belief that you're worth it, and justify that, time and focus. But belief, have belief.
Do you think she would have just been able to have it though? So if you literally if I was her, if I was you then, and you said to her, just have belief.
No, it's not that simple. Otherwise we'd all just have belief.
Just believe in yourself already.
But then that's where you get it from different places. You get it from, someone that's supporting you or, holding you accountable a bit. You get it from seeing other people achieving and knowing that actually, why not? If they can do it, why can't I, without comparison? Comparison too much. But actually, it's inspirational. And that's something I've loved, hopefully sort of helping some people and coaching others. So actually,
many.
And you want to kind of go and spread the word. Like I remember at one point I had a real phase. I was like, I literally want to go and tell everyone why they can all do this. Because you do, you can see other people that, who am I to tell anyone that they're not, but you can see, and they're saying they're not happy or they're not comfortable or whatever. And it's like, oh my God, you could do it. Oh no, I couldn't do it. It's like, oh, you could.
You absolutely can.
And so if there's anyone that I could even help sort of get that across to, there is another way. That's what you want to kind of say to people, because 95% of people all follow a similar route of trying to, if they're not happy with the physical, of how to resolve it. There is another way, an actual easier and better way. Why? We need to spread the word.
We need to spread the word, and it's also just removing time pressure. Your results and your how quickly you lost that weight was fucking insane. It was very good. Now, for other people it may be slower, and that's not bad. There is nothing wrong with that. And I think it's just allowing people to go, remember, circumstances are different. We've all got slightly different kind of situation, circumstances in life. So instead of being like, right, I've got to do this in 6 months, give yourself the capacity, because a lot of the stuff we actually have to go back, and go right the way back to childhood and look at expectations sometimes, look at things that we've learned, like behaviors, beliefs. It takes time.
And I know you said I did everything the wrong way, not the wrong way around, but you said almost everyone goes through and does all the work first before the physical. And I was like, I don't know how consciously, it was just, that was such a focus for me. So and as soon as I see results, like most people, that motivates you, and it's great. So you keep your power on. But I definitely in the background still was and still am, you can't do it in isolation. You've got to you have got to look at the other aspects. And out of that came, childhood and family, and, and reasons for actually why you exhibiting these behaviors, sort of thing. So you've got to do that work, whether it's alongside but yeah, more often before, and hence then taking the time to get those results.
Yeah, it's not like the way that we built the success system is actually not that way. So the success system now is you come in and it's all about build your energy first in your self-awareness, then let's get the habits in place. So it's obviously boundaries and stuff like that. Then let's get you to your physical goal. Okay. So thrive is physical goal. And then when you go into inspire and rise, that's the mindset stuff. Yeah. They have to work together, because you can't be breaking down limiting beliefs if you're not working on your mind.
Yeah.
And limiting beliefs are often what hold us back from getting to our goals, as well as other things.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. So we've got a half marathon to train for, and we're going to smash a PB. We've got a full marathon to train for, and we're going to smash a PB. We're going to get you absolutely thriving for Christmas. It's a fucking exciting time.
Love it. Everything's exciting rather than a fear and a challenge.
Yes.
You know, you don't go into it now thinking, oh God, but I have got that week back, you know, I'm back in the UK at Christmas, and, you know, oh my God, it's all going to go wrong and it's all going to go down. It's like, no, it doesn't.
This is
exciting. I'm going to have a great week with friends and family. I'm going to enjoy the time with people that are close to me and everything else. And I will eat and, you know, drink and enjoy it, but I'll be conscious and happy and content with every decision I make. So
freedom. It's like the saying that we say is when you come into coaching club, the challenge has chosen you. So you're overweight, and obviously you've made the choices to get there, no blame or anything, but you are where you are, and you wouldn't choose that challenge. But when you kind of cross over that kind of like midway point, you choose your challenge, and now you're going down blood work route and all that exciting stuff. So thank you for your time.
It's all right, been a pleasure.
It's been absolutely incredible, and I am super excited to see what this next, 6 months or however long it is until we can get rid of you.
Cheers, thank you for that.
And obviously we've got our event in France coming up at your place, which
I'm roping you in now.
I know, I cannot wait. So we're going to come and spend the weekend in France and do a coaching club and open for the public event as well, which is going to be
amazing, bloody
incredible. But thank you. Should we go for a coffee? Because I'm fucking freezing.
Yeah, my hands need to up.
Ladies, thank you so much for listening. This is hopefully giving you some inspiration and a bit of wisdom and a bit of hope and belief behind yourself. Vikki, is there anything else you want to finish on saying?
No, thank you very much for, like I said, coming into my life at the right time the last couple of years. But everyone have belief, and you can do it. You can do it.
Mic drop. Thank you very much. Take care.